I'm Derek, recovery coach and the founder of Beyond Booze, a powerful mindset training program for getting and staying sober. One of the biggest obstacles I faced with my battle with booze was dealing with the emotional poison of shame. I had a huge investment in the dealing with shame around my alcohol abuse and the way I used it to self-medicate. When I look back, it was really the white elephant of my addiction and the underlying cause of most of my suffering. It underscored the abyss of guilt and the wall of secrecy around my 10 plus years of pouring alcohol over every single decision I made. And throw guilt into the picture, every decision got incredibly clouded beyond reason. Actions became confusing and chaotic beyond understanding. And it wasn't until I learned to practice the art of surrender and start showing myself kindness that those walls actually started to crack and break down. And the underlying toxic beliefs of the negative self-talk that you're a bad person, that you're somehow broken beyond repair, that they began to break down also. And the more I fed the feelings and thoughts of shame, the more my self-esteem collapsed to the point I lost any sense of awareness and perspective of what my purpose and vision for my life was. Now, does that sound familiar? Shame killed happiness, connection, and it bombed every decision I tried to make, which ultimately nearly destroyed my relationship with myself and my life. And lots of other things in there as well. The problem with shame as an emotion is that it's very low vibrationally and doesn't create anything good. Even if we look at anger, for example, it's not great. It's not a great emotion, but at times it can really serve a purpose to have us make a new decision and change something that no longer works for us. But with shame, it just keeps you alone, disconnected, and in a victim mode. I know because I was there. And it snowballs and festers with overwhelming misery and intensity the more you feed it and bottle it up in secrecy. But every cloud has a silver lining, and you should never feel hopeless because difficult times always lead to better days, and they do pass. Not the better days, the bad times do. But that only happens if you actually do something about this, of course. This means, like in the classic hero's journey, you have to get inside the belly of the whale. There and only there will you find the door to what's actually on the other side of the shame monster. And that's the important piece of personal responsibility you must take. And this is not a should, it's a must. So how can we be liberated for shame? And what did I do? It starts by being kind to yourself first and surrender, showing yourself some empathy. You need to stop fighting the demon from a place of secrecy and denial. You need to get really honest with yourself and your situation. Accept that this is you right now, but it doesn't have to be. It may well be your current behavior. It was certainly mine, but it's not you. And with surrender comes the next really big thing of getting sober, a willingness to be vulnerable. And the reality is you are most likely pretty vulnerable in a vulnerable place right now. And you're just fighting it, resisting the need to open up to people and share about your challenges for fear of consequences. Author and speaker Dr. Brené Brown, she's the world's leader in research in shame and vulnerability. And she said something along the lines of, anytime we look at the areas of science, art, business, innovation, and anywhere we talk about creating new things, incredible new things, the one common thread they have had to face is failure again and again and again, because nothing new can be created if you're not willing to fail. You can't change your habits and behaviors if you're not willing to fear failure. Vulnerability is a place of creation and change. You can't create anything new from a place of trying to be perfect, not willing to be wrong and make mistakes. Same goes with your habits. Vulnerability is an incredibly powerful emotional resource when you learn to embrace it. You cannot change your current behavior if you're not willing to get vulnerable. First with yourself, and then with those that you want and need to have as part of, to support you on this journey. We've said surrender with empathy, and that requires huge courage. The antidote to fear is courage. So when you're afraid to be vulnerable, like I was for many years, which was a result of an illusion, a belief spawned out of fear, there's an assumption you're being judged or will be judged, not being understood, that that you are somehow a failure and not worthy. It's not true. It is a story. I can say with confidence from everything I've done, learnt, put into practice and witnessed that by learning to embrace vulnerability builds character. It builds resilience. And your loved ones will respect it. Your friends will respect it. Dr. Brené Brown said in one of her TED Talks, and I quote, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity and change." The birthplace of innovation, creativity and change, a cardinal rule. So when you open up your soul to vulnerability and share yourself truly, this is courage magnified tenfold. For me, learning to be vulnerable meant reaching out to someone I trusted most that didn't judge me and was going to hold space for me. That just happened to be my wife. From that place, I was able to share my story, challenges, and fear around my shame and guilt. Ultimately, that led to change. This helped me start to overcome the shame from a place of empathy. It wasn't easy for sure, but it works. It's my experience. All acts of greatness from all walks of life came from their challenges, failures, and their lessons. Tony Robbins, in the words of Tony Robbins, no matter how many mistakes you make or how slow your progress is, you're still way ahead of everyone and anyone who isn't trying. Now, I keep this as a motto. I think it's awesome. So what I encourage you to do today is to choose one person you truly trust and start a dialogue. And through that, begin turning shame into courage so you can change too. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the things that we teach and what I've learned, I have an awesome place to start. It's a free training called the 5 Steps to Killing Cravings and how to quit booze for good and reclaim your life. Just go to beyondboozeprogram.com/webinar. That's beyondboozeprogram.com/webinar. See you in the training.